Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's IMPLAN webinar series on the IMPLAN API. It is 1:00 p.m. Eastern time here. We'll give it just another couple of minutes as people still trickle on in. So we'll plan on kicking off in about 2 minutes. Okay, so we're ready to kick it off here, everybody. Again, thank you for joining us today for our IMPLAN webinar series. And today we're going to be going through the IMPLAN API, opening the IMPLAN Cloud. I am Michael Neely, the Education Support Specialist here on the Education Services team at IMPLAN. And joining me today are some of our big guns here at IMPLAN, Justin Helmig, our CEO, and Erik Garrett, our Vice President of Product and Technology. If this is your first time joining us for one of our IMPLAN webinars, this is just a reminder, we do intend for these presentations to be interactive. If you have a question throughout the duration of this webinar, we ask that you do post that into the question box here, and I will try to get you an answer as soon as I possibly can. Or you could also raise your hand, and towards the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session where you can interact back and forth with Justin and Erik. However, if we do not have the chance to get to your question today, please try to post into the question box and we will make sure you get an answer following the conclusion of the presentation. So what does today's agenda look like? So we're going to go through a couple of different questions surrounding the IMPLAN API. First, why are we opening the IMPLAN platform? Second, what is an API? Then we'll get into some use cases that the API could be used for, as well as ways to get more information on the IMPLAN API solution. Then we'll jump into a quick bit on frequently asked questions surrounding the API. And then, like I noted, we will jump into a Q&A session with whatever time we have left. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass this off to our fearless leader, Justin Helmig.
Well, I'm not sure about fearless leader, and I'm certainly not sure about the big guns, but I do appreciate the intro, Michael, and thank you all very much for attending. This is a webinar I've been really looking forward to giving for about a year now since we started rolling out our initial customers on the API. And the reason I'm so excited about it is the API really does open up a tremendous amount of different use cases and flexibility that traditionally has been kind of bundled into the user experience or web app part of IMPLAN. So with that, we'll kind of jump into the content. We'll go through a demo. And I certainly encourage you to ask questions in the question box, and hopefully we'll have time for some live questions at the end. So economic analytics really underpins the mega trends that we're seeing today in the industry. So things like ESGs, shift to renewable energy, remote working, the great resignation, or some of the layoffs that are happening now, certainly carbon neutrality, the EV transformation, inflation, COVID, supply chain shortages, international unrest, change in policy, which is certainly applicable this week with the news on Silicon Valley Bank. And for years, we've been providing our clients the ability to make better decisions, steer policy, understand incentive packages, perform research, and many, many more things. Over the last several years, we've really focused our effort on building out this usable web app interface to make it easier to use IMPLAN and also provide us a chassis to add different data sets and analytics around. However, we recognize there's many, many more use cases that if you can use IMPLAN in conjunction with other data or other analytics tools will make it even more valuable. So these are things like running models in an automated way, building complex regions, running multiple industries, et cetera. Things like integrating models into custom applications, either internal or external, as well as dashboards, augmenting our data and the output from our models with other data and analytics, and using IMPLAN models in other tools that you use today for other parts of your job. So APIs really provide this conduit where we can open up the IMPLAN Cloud to support all of these additional use cases. So if we back up and take it up a level, an API is an application programming interface. So it's basically a consistent way for more computer programs to communicate with each other. And this enables integration of one application into other environments, easier, consistent, and replicable automation programmatically, and extensibility by integrating all of these applications, data sets, and logic all together. So when you start to dive into REST APIs, REST is the most common format today on the web. So it's basically designed to be easy to use and allow different systems, pretty much any tool or any environment that's internet connected today, can interact with REST APIs. It really has become this implicit standard. They're really popular because they're very easy to implement and can be used, again, with any tools or environments out there today. And it's often combined with something called JSON, which is JavaScript object notation, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with JavaScript. But it's an easy way to structure data. So it kind of structures data in this key value pair type pattern that's very easy to parse. So we built our API around these two standards. So it is a standard and documented supported way to interact with the IMPLAN Cloud, where you can script all sorts of types of interactions, and we'll go through some of those in the demo. It's used to integrate and automate workflows from any different internet connected tool. And it can be used for both detailed as well as high frequency modeling. So calling simple models over many regions or many different event types. And we do support REST with JSON. So we wanted to stay standard and easy to support. So our API solution actually consists of two APIs. First is the batch APIs. So this allows you to do industry output impacts at scale. It returns summary economic indicators as well as tax results. It's currently only supports state level in 2019 or later data sets, but we'll be expanding both the geographic as well as data set supported over time. And it allows you to process thousands of events in just seconds. The other interesting thing about the batch API is it's transient. So you basically construct the inputs, you send it through the API, you get the results back, and we don't actually store any of the data, so it does not persist. The other API we have is called the Impacts API, and it supports more detailed analysis, including building custom regions, exporting region data, running all types of events that are supported by IMPLAN, exporting detailed results and detailed text results. But the trade-off is it has longer response time. The other really interesting thing about the Impact API is its persistence. So you can actually build projects with the API and access those projects both via the API as well as in the user interface. You can actually use the API to programmatically create projects if you have kind of a template or set of projects that you typically create, and then those can actually be accessed directly in the UI, so it can kind of go back and forth transparently. So far, we've seen two main customer use cases for the API. First is custom applications. So this basically adds impact analysis or contribution analysis, as well as the underlying data to both internal and external applications. And these be things like web portals, software as a service applications, internal enterprise applications, pretty much anything that you can build. The other set of use cases revolves around support in analytics tools and workflow. So you can do things like take our data or model outputs and integrate them into custom models like CGE models. You can access them through spreadsheets like Google Sheets and Excel. Google Sheets will actually be the foundation of the demo that we'll do here momentarily. You can integrate them into data science environments like R and Python, including notebooks like RStudio and Jupyter Notebooks. And you can also integrate it into business intelligence tools like Tableau and Power BI. So if we take it down one level, I took a customer use case or case study for each of these different kind of use case buckets. In the custom application bucket, a client's built a custom web app that, based on a simple set of inputs, provides a variety of output to help build business incentive packages. So in addition to the IMPLAN data and analysis, there's other data regarding demographics and GIS data, and kind of all this is pulled together into a unified user interface because the IMPLAN API is used to actually pull the IMPLAN data and model outputs into the user interface for the web app. On the analytical tool side, a customer has integrated IMPLAN into an R model that they built. So they basically use IMPLAN for some analysis and then wrap it in additional data and analysis that they've developed in a proprietary way. So it kind of allows, the API allows this seamless integration into that workflow. So with that, I will jump over to the demo. So we'll demo the batch API, and then we'll go through just a quick snapshot of the source code. I'll go to Impacts API, a very, very simple version of it. We'll go through the source code as well. And then I'll hand it over to Erik, who can bring up a tool called Postman, which is a tool that API developers use to explore and integrate to APIs. And he'll take you through some of the features that the demos, just for simplicity, don't touch on, but you can see the flexibility of the types of methods that are offered by our APIs from there. So if we jump into the batch API demo, again, this is just output events. So we'll take an industry, construction, for example, across a bunch of states in the Southeast. And then we'll take, say, $100 million of output. And then we'll simply invoke the API. Again, this is just an extension. I'll go through the source code in just a second. But Google Sheets has this environment called AppScripts, which is basically JavaScript. So it's a way that you can invoke APIs very easily from JavaScript from within the Google Sheets environment. So as you can see, it did those 10 states really quickly. You have basic summary output data, employment data, and tax data. So not super detailed, but super high frequency. So if we jump over to the source code itself, again, this is an app script. It supports Google Sheets as well as all the Google applications. And to actually invoke the API or call the API, it's quite simple. So first we get the data year. We have a set of endpoints that we can call for that. Usually our customers have been caching that in a database so they can use it because it doesn't frequently change. And then we pull through the state. So we basically just do a lookup on the state. And then we simply call the API. So this is the API call. And we set the outputs in the spreadsheet. So this basically just sets the value in the spreadsheet. So just a few lines of code. I actually wrote this, and I haven't actually written production code in 20 some years. So if I can do it, certainly you can as well. And I think what we really tried to do with the API, and this is a good illustrative example of it, is make it accessible from anything from the economist that dabbles in Python or JavaScript or R, all the way to production-ready, mission-critical enterprise application developers. So next, I'll jump over to the Impacts API. Again, just for the simplicity of the demo, we're only going to use one event, but you can certainly see the flexibility of it. So we'll do North Carolina. We'll just give it an event name. Oops, event one. In this case, we'll choose employment. We will choose an industry of 42, which is solar, and we'll give it 100 jobs. So this one, as we went through in the slide, will take just a few seconds to run. So I'll kick it off and I'll go through the code, and it should be done when we get back. So this spreadsheet actually just updates the run status for when it's complete. And then we'll go through the data. As we talked about, it gives much, much more detailed data results. So if we look at the source code for this, again, it's super, super simple to write. So we get the data year and the region. Again, we populate the body data. So based on the event type that we typed in, so in this case, it was employment, we go and set up the input variables for the API call. We make the API call, and then because it does take a few seconds to respond, in this case, we actually pull for it. Not the best thing to do in app scripts because it does time out after, I don't know, a minute or 2 minutes. When you do a lot of data processing in app scripts, you'll run across that. In this case, it does return quick enough, so it's not a big issue. But basically, we'll go and loop through, checking the status to see when the IMPLAN Cloud says the analysis is complete. When it's complete, we'll populate the summary results tab, the detailed results tab, and the text results. So all pretty simple. Again, if I can do it, you certainly can do it as well. So let's go back, and it has completed. So again, we return summary results. So the very high level data, we return detailed results. So includes everything you would expect out of the IMPLAN Cloud UI, so across all industries, and then also the tax results in a more detailed way. So again, across all industries for direct, indirect, and induced, as you would expect. So I will turn it over to Erik. So let me give him presenter rights at some point. And he can open up. All right, and he can open up Postman. So you should have it, Erik.
All right. Hold on one second while I get my window picked out. Okay, can you see Postman at this point? Assuming you can. So what we wanted to do, we modeled the Impact API as well as the Postman collection. They're both set up to mirror the IMPLAN Cloud user interface, workflow, and taxonomy. So as you'll find in IMPLAN Cloud, in order to run an impact, our economic impact analysis, you'll first need to identify, as Justin mentioned, the data year. And so we've got an endpoint where you can see all the available data years as well as what we call a data set ID. These IDs are going to be important for you to be able to pull down the other information on defining the regions and the industries and creating the projects that you'll need. So in addition to a data set, you will also need to identify, in most cases in industry, that the economic change will take place. And we can leverage this industry endpoint to pull that information down. Then finally, you'll want to identify the region where the impact will take place. And you can look up either single regions for an analysis, such as a state or a county, or you can combine these regions using our build region endpoints into your own combined region or custom region that would be available and specific to you. Once you have defined those things, you will also be able to pull down a list of all of those by the data set so that you'll be able to use them in the projects that you'll want to run your economic impacts for. So once you have all of this information collected, you can head over to the impacts endpoints to start building out your project. We've got a create project endpoint where you can start to initially define them. And then from creating your project, which will return to you a project ID, you'll be able to start building out your events. Right now, we're supporting industry proprietor income event types, employee compensation, output, marginable output industry events, and employment, as well as the advanced events where you can combine all of these into a single event. Shortly, we'll be adding in support for things like industry impact analysis and commodity output. But for now, these are our initial phase of development that is currently completed. After you have identified and built out your events, you can take the regions that you've already either built or found through your get regions calls, as well as your events, and associate them with a group into your project. And from there, you would be able to run the project once it has been defined. After your project is run and you've waited the allotted amount of time for the impact analysis to complete, as Justin mentioned, you'll be able to pull down the results. We have 5 endpoints for this right now, where you can get a result totals, detail economic indicators, detailed taxes, summary economic indicators, as well as summary taxes. And all of this information is available, I believe, from our GitHub repository that Justin, I think, is going to touch on next.
Great. Thanks, Eric. If you can change the presenter back to me, I will go through just the final couple slides on the FAQ and then also where to find it, and then we can jump into questions.
And while we're waiting for that, I'll go ahead and answer one question that we received from the chat so far. The question is, does the Impact API support custom geographies? Currently, we support both the ability to define your own combined regions. Shortly, we'll be able to do customizations through the API. However, you will be able to build out custom regions within the user interface and then leverage them within the API today.
Yeah, and that's one of the most unique things I'll even highlight for the 3rd time around, because we touched on it in the slides. But what's really unique is because of the way that we've implemented the API and the way the data persists, is you can kind of go back and forth between API automation that you built and the user interface. So they really coexist quite well. All right, so frequently asked questions. So these are a couple that we've heard from our current clients and current prospects that we're talking to today. So can I access IMPLAN Cloud's underlying data? So for example, the environmental data or the occupational data, core economic data, and so on. Yes, so we'll be exposing the underlying data as we continue to enhance the APIs. We have kind of a development roadmap. It's just work for us, so we're certainly prioritizing what we expose just based on customer requests. So if you have a specific use case, please talk with us, either your customer success manager, if you're a current client and looking to add the API, or our sales team if you are not a current client, and we'll make sure to prioritize that. Again, it's for us fairly quick to add, so we've kind of got a roadmap queue of things that we're adding into the API. So can I get the API access for a county or state package? No, so right now we're bundling the API with the national package. So if you are a current national package customer or current customer that would like to upgrade to it, it's basically just packaged as an add-on or bundled with that. Is the API available for Canada and international packages? As you all probably know, we released Canada late last fall and our international for 64 different countries, country level data in January. So we will be exposing these in the near future via the API. So if this is something you're interested in, again, please let us know so we can prioritize it appropriately in our roadmap. Do you have documentation and sample source code? So we've touched on this a few times. We'll be keeping our documentation and any sample source code on a GitHub repository. So for those that are not familiar with GitHub, it is a source code repository where you can house things like this with documentation and source code and so on that's publicly accessible. So if you go to this URL, and it actually is up on our API webpage, so implan.com/API as well. You can see the Postman collection, so basically the project for Postman that Eric just went through. as well as the documentation for both the batch and impact API. And then again, by the end of the week, we'll have the Google spreadsheet and API code up there as well. And the last one we heard a lot is, are there rate limits or throttling? So we do have throttling in place, basically something that's appropriate for the vast majority of use cases. It's a fairly high number. What we want to do is just have that kind of on an externally facing endpoint for security reasons. So if there is a use case where you need higher throughput, please let us know, and we'll certainly do our best to support that. And then for rate limits and just kind of metering, we're not currently doing that. We certainly want to encourage applications to call the API, use it, and get as much value from it as possible. Oops. Sorry. And finally, what's next? So again, it's available today. We have customers running both of those sets of use cases today. It can be added to any national package subscription or bundled with new national package subscriptions. And when you add this as an add-on, you get both the batch and the impact API. So you have access to both of them. If you are a current client and interested in a more detailed and personalized demo, please contact your CSM, your customer support manager, or support@implan.com. If you are not a current customer, please contact sales@implan.com, or feel free to reach out to me directly at any time, and I'll be happy to steer you in the right direction. We have more information up on our webpage at implan.com under API, or you can go directly to implan.com/API. And our GitHub page. So our GitHub page is actually linked from our website page. So if you don't remember the URL, you can get there for that. So that is it for content. So we'll open it up for questions. So let's see. I think I've got access to the questions here as well.
Yeah, we've had a couple go through. It doesn't look like anybody's hand is raised. I've got back to most people in the chat, so this may be a relatively quick Q&A session, but we have one here from Will Jensen, and he asked, what licensing related limits are there for embedding this API on external facing websites?
So anything external, we'll have to look at what you're looking to do and likely custom price it. Anything internal, or just kind of for the scripting or analytics tool side, as well as internal applications, we have a fixed fee for. So it just depends if it is kind of a public display or more of an OEM type deal. So I would say the best answer is get in touch with your customer success manager if you're a current client or sales, and we can turn around, we can, one, understand your use case more specifically, and two, turn around something like that. That being said, we do have customers doing this today on kind of the external side.
Okay, and then we have one here from a little while ago from Nora. As a research center, how can I benefit from this package?
Yeah, so typically what we've seen from the research audience is when I went through the two buckets of use cases, is more in the second. So if you have additional data or models that you built, or if you want to script a bunch of analyses through it, we've seen researchers typically using Python and R, sometimes JavaScript, sometimes C++ or C# or other environments, using that to kind of script so they can do lots of repetitive analyses through the API and through the tools they use today.
And I'll expand on that a little bit. We have a couple of customers right now who need to pull down some of our initial study area data, so information available off of the region itself, to kind of construct out what the inputs that are going into the impact analysis are going to be. So in many cases, they would automate those workflows where they're able to extract the regional data down from our application, apply some ratioing or some other information that they have that is not IMPLAN proprietary, but specific to their use case, then upload that in the form of impact events to then run their study and then extract the results. So in many cases, It's for automating a lot of repeatable processes in and around those customizations that they may need to make based off of the data that we've already got.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for those wonderful answers here. And that does appear to be the extent of our questions at this point in time. Of course, if you have any follow-up or additional questions to anything we've discussed here today, feel free to reach out to us at either support@implan.com. Oh, we do have Tom here. I'm sorry, Tom, I did not see you. Let's
Sorry.
It's not giving me the notification. I'll come down to Tom. And Tom, right now, I will unmute you and you can ask your question.
You guys hear me okay?
Oh,
Sure
we can. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Good morning from California. I use IMPLAN every year to build 80 state assembly and 40 state senate custom districts from zip codes. I seem to remember way back in the day when IMPLAN was like that external box that got sent out that you could upload zip codes, and these legislative districts are anywhere from like 40 zip codes up to maybe 100. Currently, myself and my staff, we go and we build those from scratch every year, essentially searching each individual zip code individually and then compiling and then running the model through the app. Will the API eventually allow, and I'm an experienced R user as well, but will the API eventually allow to upload those zip codes in, say, an Excel list or a data frame or something, where then the district can basically be created within seconds or at least a few minutes? Because right now it takes me about 30 minutes to build the model or build the district and then run the model and then extract the output. Is that something you foresee with the API? Because that would be, for me, fantastic. It would take everything from 30 minutes maybe down to just a couple just to run these models. So if not, I would like to put that on the wish list if possible, but let me know if that's something you guys foresee as a possibility.
Yep, that is supported by the API today. We have the ability of uploading that through either a JSON or a CSV. Basically, what you would be able to do is define the name of the region, and then through either comma separated values or through JSON parameters, add in the additional endpoints, either states, counties, or zip codes that you wish to combine. What we'll do is return for you an associated ID so that you can help associate both the name of the region you sent us with an ID that you'll be able to then look up and carry on with the rest of your analysis.
Okay, that's excellent, because I was working with my customer success manager. He said that actually wasn't a possibility now. So it sounds like it is something that I could look into.
Yeah, this is hot off the shelf. So all of this is still working our way through our deployment processes as well as our internal education processes. So
great. Okay, no, I'm happy to hear that.
Part of the first version of the API.
Okay, great. Should I go back to Colton then and just start with him and ask him how to proceed to work through this, or what do you recommend?
Yep, we can follow up with Colton directly.
Okay.
We'll bring him today afternoon after this. But yeah, I mean, Tom, I appreciate it, and we didn't tee Tom up for this question, I promise. But that's a perfect example of the type of automation that the API really allows us to do. So for certain scenarios like assembling tons of zip codes into a custom region, you can do it through the UI, but it just takes time. So this is a great way to automate that creation.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and just to be clear, Colton's awesome to work with. I guess he just didn't have the information at his fingertips that you guys have today. But he referred me to this webinar to get this question answered. So I'm glad we're moving forward with that. So thank you.
Yeah, and the timing of this wasn't by mistake. So we have a whole batch of enhancements based on customer feedback that are going, as Eric said, kind of in deployment right now. So that was kind of had to do with the timing of the webinar as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. Well, good. Michael, I think that's about all we had for questions. Was there anyone else that we didn't hit to?
Yeah, it would appear that way.
Throttling.
Yeah, and apologies to Tom. It typically gives me an indication that somebody's hand is raised, but unfortunately, it did not this go round. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Oh, it does look like we just
Oh,
got
looks
one
like,
last second
yeah.
question from Will here. So, will the API allow you to customize the region and add industries that are not present currently? I think Eric touched on that a moment ago, but if you care to elaborate on again, Eric.
Yeah, we don't have that in version 1 of the API itself. We do have that on our roadmap to expand into. However, I will say what you can do today is customize that region through the user interface and then leverage it as a region within the API.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think that is actually the end of our questions now. No hands raised, no additional questions. So again, remember, if you have any follow-up or additional questions, to please email them to us at support@implan.com and we will get you sorted out.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As you can tell by our passion, we're super excited about the API. We really just think this is the next evolution of IMPLAN and how we can add more value to our clients and open up a whole new set of use cases. So I appreciate everyone's time today. All right.